Hi, this is Votan, and I'm back. Today I would like to talk a little bit about how the mainstream media, like the news and other sources of information, and sort of the accepted way of working in the world and how we relate to each other is at a very sort of low, unhealthy, sort of like a fear-based level. And it's something that I have noticed very strongly when I go away, like when I was abroad for a while, and what I was doing sort of precluded the information of news, the gathering of current events, or a lot of the mainstream pop culture happenings, entertainment news, or wars and things like that. And I was abroad and I came back and I was staying with someone, and the news was on every night. And at first it was just so jarring. It's sort of an understatement. I was abroad for peaceful reasons, and I was cultivating different qualities inside of myself. And it was almost shocking. I came back and to be bombarded with this news that it was filled with murder and torture and raping and pillaging and arsons and identity theft and all these things that I had sort of stopped inputting, stopped consuming, stopped paying attention to. And that stopped bringing me down. I think that's what it was. And I started becoming more buoyant. And it was very apparent how downward pulling it was. I felt really drained and shocked and sort of, I felt attacked almost by just it wasn't even anything really bad per se. It was just the mainstream news in the evening, whatever they show on television. But it was just the standard thing, and I didn't realize how much it can affect you until I removed myself from that environment, and I saw myself in this new environment where it wasn't like that, and it was much different, and I felt sort of a sense of peace. And to come to this, and I felt like I was being bombarded with all of these negative emotions, and that was, like I said, jarring and shocking to me. And I tried bringing it up to the people I was staying with, and they were like, "I don't know what you're talking about," or "Yeah, that's just the way things are." They had no clue how not degrading, but how sort of depressing in a way it made you. And I'm not a really sensitive person, but I felt it very palpably. And it really took me a long time to sort of get used to it again. And that experience helped me realize how dysfunctional the world is. That's a good way to put it. And we don't really know to the extent of the chaos, to the extent of fear and anger and dissatisfaction that we live in. We're numb to it. We think this is normal. We think this is the way things are supposed to be. This is the way things have to be. There is no other way. And I had a first-hand experience of it doesn't have to be that way. We choose to consume this stuff. We choose to buy into whatever strife, whatever problem is going on in the world. If something is happening on your own doorstep, well, you have to deal with it. If something affects you directly, well, of course, that's something different. But this is stuff that's happening all around the world, even in your own city, somewhere that, a murder or whatever, that doesn't really affect you, but they keep following it, or like natural disasters, that's all you see, or like a high-speed car chase, or a court case. These things are just pursued relentlessly into the next really intense event occurs, or the next news item that's very stimulating and not in a positive way. It became very clear to me what the mass media does. And because we're all pretty much consumers of this, it also affects all of our individual relations with one another. We talk about it, and we have the same viewpoints that the news stations have, and we don't really question it, or we don't try to avoid it, or try to live a different way. There's a lot of ways that we could handle the situation, but there's news on every station in the evenings, and probably in the mornings too. Why is that? It's because people watch it. And there's all sorts of news now on the internet. Newspapers, of course, are not as prevalent, at least in more industrialized worlds, countries. But for the most part, news plays a very big part, and it affects our lives in deeper ways than we imagine. We go throughout our day, we hear the news, and we go to bed unhappy. We're constantly in this state of, there's another war, and all these people are dying, and there's killing, and you have to be careful because there's all these sex offenders and rapists. You can't go out at night, or there are muggings, so you better keep your belongings. You have to lock your doors, and you have to shred all of your mail so identity thieves won't get your stuff, and your cell phones can be hacked, your passports can be hacked, credit cards, all these things with chips, they're vulnerable. The list goes on and on of things that we have to be wary of, we have to be careful of. Even our privacy is at stake. Each year, each month, we're told of something else where personal data was stolen, bank details, or people can track where we go, or they know our shopping habits, or our surfing habits, or whatever it may be. It really became clear to me how much of a mentality of unhappiness they keep us in. Sort of a low sort of state of fear and apathy, like we're helpless and there's no happiness in the world, there's nothing we can do. And that really struck home for me, because I saw the reality from a different angle. It was almost like the curtain was pulled up from behind the wizard, like the Wizard of Oz, when the curtain was pulled up and everyone revealed that the great and powerful Oz was just this regular man. That's sort of what it felt like. I saw the news for what it was. And of course, it's not just the news, it's all these other sources, like I mentioned, but the news is really where it was obvious to me that this sort of mentality is prevalent, and it's constantly being reinforced and perpetuated day after day. And we're becoming numb to it, and the news stations know it. So to stay in business, to continue to get more viewers, they ramp up the intensity of the news stories. They want more horrific events, and that's what this so-called war on terror is about. Well, one of the reasons. There's constantly news of beheadings and suicide bombings and mass shootings and bomb threats and all sorts of stuff that are going on, and it just seems to be getting worse and worse. And it's the fear tactic. I'm not sure if it's done on purpose or if it's just perpetuated for whatever reason, but the fact of the matter is, it seems to be getting worse. But I believe the reality of the situation is that many people are becoming more aware of what's going on, and they're choosing what they're consuming, what they're putting into their minds. And so I definitely don't think we're in a hopeless situation. I think things are getting better, but at least for me, I'm very wary of what I put into my mind. I even had the news apps on my cell phone, so whenever something would happen, I would get a instant report. Of course, I justified it by saying, well, I need to know, I need to keep on top of the events, I need to know what's going on in the world. Now that I've turned them off, I feel much more peaceful. And somebody will say, well, I'm just sticking my head in the sand, or it's a false sense of peace because actually there's no peace around. But from what I'm sort of discovering in various things I'm doing and reading, peace comes from within. It's what we have within that changes the world. So we can cultivate peace here, and then we can go out in the world and try to sow those seeds of peace and happiness and good wishes and love and compassion, etc. For people that are just starting out, they will keep getting dragged down lower and lower to those depths of fear and those lower emotions that news and other sources are constantly feeding us. So by relinquishing those, you can allow yourself to start moving up into those realms of love and peace. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm saying no to the news, and I am saying yes to peace and love and goodwill for my neighbor and my fellow man and woman. So that's sort of what I'm up to and what I'm not doing, and hopefully you will think twice about what you see and what you consume as well. All right, thanks.